Oh,
Um,
real quick though, are you going to AJ's show on Saturday?
didn't have plans to.
Well, I'll be there.
Okay, yeah, I guess I'm going then.
I took a lease out on your heart. I took a lease out on your heart. Can I at least have fun? Can I at least have fun? Can I at least have fun?
Welcome back, everybody. We are Rough Draft Research. You are the audience, and together we're on a quest for Dynasty Domination. How's it going over there, Daniel?
Pretty decent, pretty decent. Not too bad. Busy, busy man, but feeling good. Got our last dynasty draft out of the way.
Yeah, we did. I
We
guess
did.
should we review who we got real quick or
Oh, yes, I'll go first. I got Cam Scadaboo and I
nice?
got Dante Thornton Jr.
Hell yeah.
It's a big draft for this guy.
I
Six
mean,
round
yeah,
draft.
those are at least two guys that you're super into. So,
Oh yeah, I
like,
was happy. I
yeah,
had like the two, three, and then the four, five. And like those were the players I wanted. I was not really expecting anyone to take those players before me.
yeah,
And yep,
yeah,
it's I had a hell of a draft last year and just kind of chilling with
coasted.
this.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was
that's
cool.
fair. I feel like that'll hopefully be me because I had quite the
Yeah.
amount of picks. So I took I got Genty number one, and then at the beginning of the second round I got Ibuka and Matthew Golden, which was nice. And then in the third round I took Jalen Milrow. It is a super flex league, so that
That's
QB
true.
flyer is fun. I took Alec Iomanner in the fifth, Elijah Arroyo in the fourth, and then I got a wild hair and traded a fifth next year to take Ja'Cory Korsky Merritt. I don't really know why. I think it just looked nice to have two running backs, three receivers, and a tight end and a QB in that draft. So we'll see how that goes. Probably nothing, but I don't know. Just wanted one more pick, I guess.
Yeah, I mean it was it was a heck of a draft. I mean, yeah, to have a 6 round draft and I was pretty much paying attention the whole time and only have two picks. So it's just,
Oh yeah, that's tough.
but I'm telling you guys, I mean, a lot of you guys had really nice drafts, you know.
Yeah,
AJ
yeah, I know AJ
himself
had a great draft.
he was like shattering the draft room, man. He got
Yeah,
Hampton
yeah, I was about
and
to.
Henderson and Johnson,
Yeah,
and he got Warren as well.
yeah, he went the hell off. That was a great draft for him. Yeah, like you said, Marion Hampton, Trevion Henderson, Caleb Johnson, and Tyler Warren all in the first, and then he had Jack Besh and Savion Williams, which I like those two picks as well, especially getting Savion in like the sixth. I mean,
Oh, I made that pick.
oh, did you? Oh yeah,
Yeah, he was like, "Here, pick a player. I went
nice.
for it." Sorry.
Love it. Well, that is, yeah, our last rookie draft. So, quick summary there for you. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We are here to continue our dynasty, not dynasty, division, NFL division preview. We did the AFC East last week, so we're going to hit you with the AFC East. Flip those. We did the AFC East last week, and we're going to hit you with the NFC East this week. Hopefully, I'll do better at the talking of words out of my mouth here soon. On that note, you wanna kick us off, or you want me to start this one?
Oh, you know, I'll do it. I'll
All
do
right.
it. You talked me into it. You twisted my arm. Yes, as mentioned, we're doing the NFC East. And like I said, these last couple episodes, I'm talking about the division as a whole and the success rate that they've had, and it's all been like losing divisions on the totals these past couple of weeks. But now we've got our first winning division. They have 36 wins and 32 losses in the NFC East, and I gotta say, a big part of that was the Washington Commanders. They had themselves a nice little 12-win season. pushed all the way to the conference championship game, and really, I mean, had themselves a nice little resurgence as far as success and energy and all those things that come with being awesome. Dan Quinn's first year, we liked a lot of what Cliff Kingsbury did. It was the first time we really got to root for him and it mean anything. So that was pretty cool. And it was pure and simple to everyone, to me, to us. The success was not only, a nice coaching injection after having some, Ron Rivera years and just random stuff. But it was the Jaden Daniels of it all, right? It
Yeah.
was it was basically his show to run, and he ran it. I mean, he was the QB5. It was big time. I looked it up, and it was the best rookie fantasy season ever. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, you can do that when you're purely awesome. And he did, it was a combination dual threat. He had nearly 900 yards on the ground and ran for six touchdowns. And he only threw nine picks while throwing 25 touchdowns and just over 3,500 yards. So it was a fairly consistent effort across the board. And this team as a whole really just had a great year. They were fifth in scoring amongst the whole league. And as far as like the rushing was where they really shined. They were fifth in rush attempts and fourth in rushing scoring. And then oddly enough, the passing was only 25th in attempts. So quite below the league average on attempts, but they were ninth in scoring. So they were just efficient and effective in putting the ball in the end zone. And I'm talking about two teams that were pretty successful in this division tonight, but this team has something different about them that the other team cannot say, and that's the offensive line was bottom half on both passing and rushing. The rush blocking was 28th ranked, and the pass blocking was 23rd.
Mm.
So it was kind of impressive to me to see them put together this much success, like scoring. And a lot of it came from, we've seen it with Lamar, we've seen it with Hurts, now we're seeing it with Daniels. But when you put a rushing quarterback that's capable of throwing on the move, you really put defenses in a disadvantage, and you give offensive lines a lot of help just from the way the game could unfold and the uncertainty of it all. So I think it was awesome. I don't want to get too crazy about, the future because we've just seen CJ Stroud come out and have like an amazing rookie year and then follow it up with regression. I don't really see that as the way it's going to go for Daniels. But you can't get too pumped about a rookie year. Things do change. People do
Mhm.
collect information and adjust their approach. Rookie year is kind of a free pass because they don't have any dirt on you or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, they didn't do anything to address the offensive line at all in this offseason. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But teach their own, do what you got to do. Um, they did add a little bit of depth. The first round tackle, but he's not slated to be a starter. So they're still kind of
When they
leaning on
traded
the.
for Tunsil, right?
I did they?
Yeah, they
Oh
traded
yeah,
for
yeah,
Laramie
yeah. There you
Tunsil.
go. Thanks. Thank you.
I
Sorry.
got you.
My eyes, I'm colorblind apparently. Okay, so yes, they've got some help coming his way, so that should help him out. But the big addition for him was Debo Samuel's coming in.
Mm.
I don't really know exactly how excited to get about this. Obviously, we've got Terry McLaurin, who has some contract up in the air. Not really sure. It feels like they're going to work it out. They always work it out. It feels like Terry's one of those guys that seems like he was just going to be a commander for life or a Washington football teamer for life, or they've had three different names in his time there, but he was going to be a Washington football player.
Hmm.
I feel like they're going to work that out, but when they add Debo to the mix, it kind of makes me hesitate. I got a little, I've got a big roster share of McLaurin because I've been a fan of him since the Buckeyes days. But
Hmm.
when you really break it down with Debo, he's not necessarily the biggest receiving touchdown player. Last year, he only had three receiving touchdowns. His best season was seven in 2023, and he had six in there. But really, it's been below five for the majority of his career. He really makes it up in the rushing game, which we all know
Hmm.
about Debo. But when I look at threatening Terry McLaurin's workload, I was a little worried, and now the contract is up in the air. But the more I dig into it, I'm not really worried for Terry. He's been doing exactly the same thing every year, in and out, just hitting 1,000 yards, kind of doing a Mike Evans light. He only got to 920 his rookie year, but the last 5 years he's hit 1,000. And the big change for him was the touchdown numbers. He went and got 13 touchdowns last year, which was number two in the league behind Jamar Chase as far as receiving touchdowns. So that's a huge. It got him up to the wide receiver seven. And I got to tell you, man, I don't know if it's necessarily sustainable, but it's definitely something exciting. He had been under, five touchdowns ever since his rookie year. So it was a lot to do with the offense. But as I look at the way this team operated in the red zone, that's what gives me a little bit of concern because there was only 49 red zone pass attempts versus 123 rush attempts in the
Oh
red
wow.
zone.
Mm.
Yeah, so I'm like, it was great for Terry to get those 13, but you do add a little Debo. I still am scared of Austin Eckler in the red zone a little bit. Um, and then they've got Jalen Lane coming in, who I was a little surprised at how much I got a little into him as I did a little bit of research. He had a really nice 40 time. I think he ran a 4.34. So I think he's the third fastest wide receiver in the combine. And just looking through a little bit of his game film, he had kind of like lower utilization, but nice efficiency and good consistency, and a little bit of rushing game mixed in. So I'm kind of excited to see what he ends up doing as a rookie. I think that he could work himself in. He's playing slot behind Debo, but I think there's a chance that he could take some snaps away from Noah Brown, who's injured right now. So really, it's kind of toss up. This team didn't make a ton of changes outside of Debo, and I just don't know what we get with Debo. But really, the running game is where things get a little interesting because Brian Robinson, he's kind of a guy that I always viewed as like a middling talent, but he still manages to get enough work to be fantasy relevant. He had 8 touchdowns on less than 200 carries last year. So that got him to the wide receiver or to the running back 29. And he had four top 15 weeks, but zero inside the top 10. So he's like startable, serviceable, but he's not winning anything for you. So I'm looking for just anything, really just the passing game in this offense, which is counterintuitive because they have so much success running. But with Austin Eckler in there, Robinson only had 25 targets last year. So I'm not really sure how to forecast any improvement there, even though he's a nice little stopgap. If you need a flex or a bye week type guy, I don't know if I'm excited to throw him in as my running back too, but he's definitely proven himself to be consistent out there. So that's pretty much how I feel about the running back room for this team. And then of course you've got the tight end room, which to me is it's just blowing my mind. At age 34, Zach Ertz is out here playing some the best ball we've seen out of him in quite some time. He was mopping up touchdowns. He had seven of them last year, and it had 91 targets. So he's holding down a pretty good share this offense. I'm trying to figure out exactly where I anticipate the Debo targets to come from because there was Olamides giving up 64 with his departure, and then Noah Brown had 56. And like I said, I do think some of those are going. And then you've got Diami Brown who had 40. So I'd say there's over 100 targets to kind of go around. So I don't think Ertz is going to suffer much from any additions, but I just wonder if he's just like an ageless wonder. They didn't really do too much to address anything coming in the tight end room. We've still got Ben Sinnott, which was a kind of an exciting thing, but then so was Cole Turner and John Bates was a little bit exciting too. So I just don't think anyone's really threatening the Ertz workload. I'm betting on that for another year to come. Um, but yeah, there's not a lot of change here. Debo's an exciting player, and I think his contract's going to make things awkward for Terry if they can't figure that out really fast. But for the most part, I expect them to just continue to keep in stride with where they left off last year. Kind of a buzzsaw. The Eagles just kind of taking people out in the playoffs, but I think they proved a lot and they've got a lot to be proud of. So they're going to hit the ground running. The defense has been pretty decent. Obvious stud here. I like Frankie Louvu pretty much on the defensive side of the ball as a stud. They've got some other big names, but I'm leaning on him. And then for a sleeper for them, let's see. Oh man, I'm gonna say a name wrong. I'm doing it. Mike Sinristal.
Mm.
He's yeah,
Saren still?
Darren still. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a DB uh
Mm.
coming off just a pretty awesome rookie year with the 182 IDP points, had a couple of interceptions and really a high tackle number. So I'm keeping an eye on him. He's only 40% rostered. And just say his name again for me, for everybody.
Sandra still,
Sanders still.
I think.
I can't read, so I've never been shy about admitting it, but
I
here we
liked him
are.
coming out of Michigan, though. That's the only reason
Yeah,
I knew.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, you're good, dude. I mean, all the letters are there and you said them properly. I just couldn't master it.
You're fine. It happens. I'm gonna whiff on one later, I'm sure. But yeah, I think, the Commanders should still be good. I do think they're a bit of like a regression candidate. Like you said, they're gonna have tape on Daniels now, and then like on paper, trading for Tunsil makes sense, but like the Texans needed offensive linemen and they traded him away. I think that says a lot. And then, like you said, you're relying on Debo to kind of jumpstart this offense. The whole situation with Terry right now, it all just seems kind of awkward. Um,
Mhm.
and like I said, I don't know that they got like that much better. Ertz should be fine as a tight end two, or I mean, he was a top 10 tight end. I
Yeah.
hate to sit there and rely on him as my number one guy, but having him as your second guy, with the potential to be your number one, I think is nice. I Yeah, he kind of is eating Ben Sinnott right now, which I know a lot of people were excited about. And then I like your shout out to Jalen Lane with
Yeah.
the speed. You saw in the playoffs that like Jaden Daniels was heating up with De'Ami Brown a little bit.
Mhm.
So he kind of like profiles to kind of fit what they were doing with him. So I'm interested to see how that goes. Uh, and yeah, that third wide receiver spot is really up in the air. Like I know on the depth chart it says Noah Brown right now, but like I wouldn't be that surprised if Jalen Lane ends up beating them. Might
Are they
need to
out on
move.
McCaffrey?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, like he's fine as like a third or a
I
fourth
mean,
guy,
yeah,
but
I think I literally dropped McCaffrey to pick up Lane or something. So,
yeah. So like we might need to move Lane up in our rookie pre-draft tier list there, and then
ooh,
yeah, like Brian Robinson, he's fine. Like
I
like
feel
as a
bad for the guy.
like all he does is produce, but just not that much. So like if he's your RB3 or four, then you're feeling pretty good. If you have to start him every single week, you're probably weirdly still feeling good, but you think he's gonna suck every time, and then he
Mhm.
just is fine. And then yeah, I like your Frankie Louvu shout out. And yeah, Sanders still, he's one of those sneaky nickelbacks that could actually end up producing at the defensive back position for you in a IDP league, I think.
Heck yeah. And we can't forget Von Miller has joined the
Oh yeah, yeah,
Commanders.
that happened what,
So
today or yesterday?
yeah, I
Yeah.
think so.
So yeah, that's exciting. I don't know if
I,
I'll bite all over him for
him and Bobby Wagner can.
dude, the old man club. Them and Austin Eckler and whoever else is over there, Zach Ertz, they can all go to the old
Oh
folks
my
home.
God. Yeah,
Like
dude. They're getting discounts when they go out to eat.
All right, I'm gonna start with the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay.
They're an interesting conversation because I mean we kind of just assume that they're gonna be pretty good every year. Um, but Dak is and really the beginning of that interesting conversation to me because it's easy to say like, oh, he got hurt last year. He was the QB3 in 2023. He'll be back to that top 5 to 10 QB status coming off the injury. And like, first of all, it wasn't just a regular ass injury. Like he tore his hamstring all the way off the bone. So like
Oof.
that's not something that you can just assume an over 30-year-old quarterback can just tank in the very next season. And then additionally, if you look at what Prescott put on film last year, it wasn't great. He played 8 games, and really wasn't that good. 65% completion percentage. That's his lowest since 2019. Still not bad, but like trending down. He was ranked, or sorry, 247 yards per game, which is his second lowest since 2019. And he had 11 touchdowns and 8 interceptions through 8 games. So you're talking slightly above 1 touchdown a game and right at 1 interception every game. In points per game, he was ranked 22nd in terms of fantasy, which tied him with Derek Carr, put him behind Aaron Rodgers, put him behind Anthony Richardson, behind Russell Wilson, behind Geno Smith, and behind Jordan Love, all guys that were pretty much panned for having really down years, at least in terms of fantasy. And then you look at the offensive line, and it's a pretty substantial question mark, which is odd for the Dallas Cowboys. They've been kind of one of the pinnacles for a while, up until recently at the offensive line. But they finished last year as PFF's 22nd graded or 26th graded offensive line, and they're starting this year as PFF's 23rd ranked. Tyler Guyton, their first rounder from a year ago, was just straight up bad. He finished with a 49.4 grade and allowed 6 sacks. They did take Tyler Booker in the first round, so you know you're trying to see some improvement there. But it's just kind of weird. I don't really think a bounce back year from Dak is a lock by any stretch. Like I think there is a way where he kind of starts out rocky, and this doesn't go super well after that injury, and just like he wasn't looking great last year. I mean, I like Dak. I would lean that he would still be good, but I just when I was digging into this, I kind of expected to just say, "Oh yeah, Dak will be back and it'll be good." But I don't really feel that way coming off the research. I'm kind of a little more skeptical about it. Um, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I didn't
Oh,
realize all that. You kind of got me. Yeah. And
right? It's
then,
just a little odd. But who knows? He'll probably come out slinging it. Who knows? But then you look at the running back room, and they didn't really bring in much to kind of help Dak. You know, it's not overly exciting. You got Javonte Williams, Miles Sanders, and Jaden Blue for a completely brand new running back room there. And Javonte obviously was a guy that you and I liked coming out of the draft in 2021. He was likely a top 5 to 7 dynasty pick in your draft. We expect him to hit the ground running. He had a good rookie year, then got injured, but he's never had a 1,000 yard season. 7 TDs in his he had 7 total touchdowns in his rookie year, and he's only had 9 since then. Never more than 400 receiving yards. I do think from an opportunity standpoint, Williams is in a good spot here because I mean you look at that room, and I'm not really worried about Sanders. Jaden Blue is exciting, but he's more like profiles at least early on as like a change of pace guy, and he still was a 5th round pick, so it's not like they spent a lot on him. Um, so I think he is in a good spot, but coming off back-to-back seasons where he had under 4 yards a carry and he got signed to that small contract, I don't know that the leash is like super long on him. If he comes out and looks slow, looks inefficient, I think they could at least go to a committee situation, which they might already be in, if we're being honest. Uh, the Cowboys ranked 19th as the 19th best run blocking line by PFF, which obviously isn't great. They did bring in again, they brought in Booker to kind of pair with Tyler Smith in the middle, which could be great if Booker ends up hitting the ground running. But it's still not amazing that great of an offensive line for run blocking. And then they only targeted their RBs 14% of the time last season. So like Javante is a guy that we expect like, oh, he's great in the receiving game as well. He was targeted a shit ton last year, but they don't really do that in Dallas. They're more of a like down the field type of team. Now they do have a new coordinator, they do have a new coach, so maybe that'll change. Um, all that being said, I'd still like if I had to pick a guy, I would obviously still bet on Williams to get the to be the guy at least at first. He's been talking about how all offseason he feels truly healthy since the first time since 2022. So that's a rough recovery, but like hopefully he's right. Um, but again, Sanders doesn't scare me as a genuine threat, and I do think Blue has like the most upside potentially. But I think he'd have to spend some time earning it before they're just going to plop him out there and give him the reins. Because, he's a fifth round pick. He had some, not issues coming out, but there were some slight concerns.
Yeah, a lot
Um,
of fumbles.
yeah, exactly. So, uh, the real meat of this offense is going to be the wide receiver room. The Cowboys have been looking for that true number two wide receiver ever since Cooper Cup or Amari Cooper left in 2022.
Yeah.
Um, because after for 3 seasons in a row, Dak had two receivers with over 100 targets in Lamb and Cooper. And now he's pretty much just been left to solely rely on CeeDee Lamb, which, has been fine for CeeDee Lamb and fine for the most part for Dak Prescott in terms of fantasy, but it has put them in some weird spots on the field where, like, if they do find a way to kind of eliminate Lamb, there's not a lot going on. So they bring in George Pickens through a trade, and I think he'd be a contender for like top five wide receiver two in the league already. Like that'd be an
Ooh.
interesting conversation to have,
Yeesh.
but I think he's finally slotted where he needed to go. Like he didn't really I don't know. To me, he never profiled as like a true number one guy. He's a complimentary guy, a high end complimentary guy, like a T. Higgins. But I don't know. I just never saw him as that guy. So now you put him on the other side of Lamb, and I think they complement each other super well. Like you got Lamb as the do it all, super smooth route runner, can carry the offense. But then you got Pickens, who's like the big body, aggressive catcher, can play one on one and do pretty well on those contested catches. So to me, it's like good luck putting Pickens one on one and then doubling Lamb because like they're gonna try to attack you there all day. And I think like Pickens could end up being or having his like best fantasy season, which isn't as crazy as you would expect. He was his best year as the wide receiver 30. I think that has to do with the offense he was in, and then also like again, I don't know that he profiled as a true number one now that we've seen him in the NFL. But to me, this spot is perfect for him. We could see him finish with his best season statistically. I think that's probably like a top 25 receiver. So I'm not saying that he's going to be like a top 10 with Lamb or anything. I just think he'll have some big weeks. And I think he's worth trying to acquire in most leagues if you can get him. I think people are. I feel like some people don't know how to feel because he is going to a team with a number one. But I think the plan for Dallas is to get back to two dominant wide receivers in the room that are going to get 100 targets, which I could see for Pickens. And I think Lamb takes the pressure off Pickens because obviously that's the guy they have to focus on first in terms of who the defense is going to go after. So to me, like I think that was the idea they find, and maybe it doesn't work, but this was their plan to fix that wide receiver two spot because it's been pretty bad ever since Cooper left, and they were bailed out by Lamb just being incredible, but it hasn't really worked for them fully. So I think that's why they went with this trade, and I think it makes a lot of sense. And I like Pickens as like a I don't know a wide receiver as a fantasy wide receiver. I really do. Um, the tight end room also going to be interesting here. Ferguson dealt with injuries all last season, was kind of on and off the field, as was Dak. Well, he was just off the field after week 8 or whatever, but he still finished the season. Ferguson did with 86 targets, and I don't really see that workload going down. Like I know I just talked about the addition of Pickens and how they're going to get 100 targets, but in seasons where Dak had two wide receivers either close to or above 100 targets, I say close to because there was a season he had somebody go for 98 and somebody go for 96. So I just threw that one in there because, I mean, whatever, it's close enough. But
Yeah.
his tight ends averaged 93 targets in those seasons. So it's not like they weren't getting a decent workload, if not to great workload too. And Ferguson is coming off a season in 2023 where he had 102 targets. I see that total going down. I see it being between like 80 and 95, but I think that's still a really good workload for him. And additionally, Pickens and Lamb together will take the pressure off Ferguson. So I think Ferguson might, as well as getting a bunch of targets, like I said, between 80 and 95, I could see him actually getting better, decent quality targets where he's not as contested. And I really think that Ferguson could be in line for like a top 10 tight end season this year. Just because I think they're going to spread the ball around, but it's going to be to those three guys. And then everyone else maybe will get one here or there. In terms of IDP, I mean, your star is obviously Micah Parsons. There's no reason to not expect him to be in the top five for your edge player or linebacker, wherever you want to use him. But my sleeper is a little more interesting. DeMarvion Overshown is a complete, like, has legit superstar potential to me. However, doing some digging, people aren't really expecting him back until November. So like he's not recovering well or like expected to be back anytime soon, which leaves a huge hole kind of in the middle of that defense. And I think there's two candidates to pick up the slack while he's gone. One is Kenneth Murray, I'll throw out, who the Cowboys just traded for 95 combined tackles last season for the Titans. And he may have a decent season on a better team. He's only rostered in 51% of leagues, so like he kind of meets our criteria for that.
Yeah.
But my real sleeper is last year's third round pick, Maurice Luafua. I think that's how you say it. Who in games started last season had 50 combined tackles, which is pretty good, like a pretty good rate. And he's only rostered in 35% of leagues. Reading about him in this offseason, he's bulked up and like the Cowboys are expecting him to make a jump. And his position on the depth chart is directly behind Obershon. So it's I think he could be pretty effective early on and is fairly cheap or just free to grab right now.
Yeah, he's 35% rostered. Yeah. Looking good. Like that. Micah Parsons, dude, the guy's getting slept on a little bit, getting
Right?
hated on. Well, all he ever did was kick all the ass and then start out on a pretty awesome Dallas defense that kind of has been struggling the past few years. So, man, yeah, the George Pickens, all of that George Pickens noise is so loud. I don't think people are buying it. They don't want to hear it. But they're going to see it, man. I'm kind of scared now of this Dallas offense now that you laid it all out for me. Big ups to Ferguson. I mean, the dude's been crushing it with all that attention. I assume that he's going to just keep on blossoming. Obviously, a little step back last year, but the whole team steps back when Dak's not under center. So if they can get everyone out there and keep them rolling, man, it's just going to be. I don't think they care about the running back room. I
Yeah.
think they've made it so obvious that they don't care. Like that's not what they're about.
Yeah.
They just don't care.
They went
And
from Zeke to we don't care.
yeah, and they've done nothing about it with ample opportunity. Like everyone in their cat thought, Bijan was going to go there, and
Mm.
and there's been a million running back. I say a million. There's been plenty of opportunities for them to take a risky pick
Hmm.
on a running back, and they've just refused to do it. So whatever they're doing whatever they want to do, and I think it'll be fine. So. I don't know. Pretty excited to see what happens.
Yeah.
Uh, Nicely done. So, um, I will get into the Eagles.
Woo.
Yay, they won 14 games in the regular
Jeez.
season. Yada, yada, yada. I mean, they won the Super Bowl,
They
man.
did. They did.
They did all the stuff. They got Kellen Moore a head coaching job. Like
Dallas
of
was trying
all
to
the
do that for
things they've
years.
done, of all the things they did last year, that might be the most impressive. Um, But you know what they've really done is swapped out zero starters on the offensive side of the ball. So that's where I got a little confused on that offensive line thing earlier. Good Lord. But yeah, they swapped out zero starters. Their depth chart is completely devoid of rookies, additions of note at all. So from a fantasy perspective, we're looking at the same old, man. Um, Kenneth Gainwell's gone, so AJ Dillon is here.
Woo.
Are these things important? Do these things matter to you guys? You know what I mean? No. It's the same lineup. It's the same guys. And why would you go away from a Super Bowl winning team that was, seventh in total scoring, first in rush attempts, second in rush scoring. Their offensive line was fourth in rush blocking and sixth in pass blocking. They had the least pass attempts in the entire league last year, yet somehow produced the 12th most touchdowns from passes. It doesn't make sense. It shouldn't make sense. They did it in a way that it seems like they just do all the time. Like they normally do it on defense, but they're getting a little crazy on the offense now. And it just, it is what it is. I'll tell you all about it. Okay. So you got Jalen Hurts. Have you guys heard of this guy? He was the quarterback eight, not really his best year as far as fantasy production. He kind of took a neutral year. The passing went way down. It's his first year under 3,000 passing yards since he was a rookie, and the attempts seriously dropped by 170 attempts over
It's
the past
crazy.
2 years. Yeah, it's nuts. He only threw 361 pass attempts. That's insane. That's insanely low.
Hmm.
None of it mattered. He was awesome. He still rushed for 12 touchdowns. He only threw five picks, so the efficiency was there. I mean, what do you want? What do you want me to say? It's Jalen Hurts, you guys. Like, if you're not
Yeah.
following this guy, then you're not watching football. He's out there. He's doing it, and because of him, we have to all have Nick Sirianni's face memorized at this point, and that's a bummer. I'm just saying, it's a bummer. So they've got the wild support of an amazing running back in Saquon Barkley, who gives us as non-Eagles fans something to be happy about, Like Saquon, he did it, man. He got in there, he had him get himself a good year, he got that Super Bowl ring, and I just think that it's unlimited at this point. He's only 28 years old. It feels like he's been in the league for 50 years, but
Hmm.
he did it. He had a 2,000-yard rushing season, which is pretty impressive as far as rushing seasons go. That's the most since 2020 when Derrick Henry put up 2,027, and it is the eighth most all time. So pretty good. I thought personally, I just remember Saquon having like the most insane fantasy year that I've ever seen in my life. But I looked it up, and over the past 5 years, it was only there's like the 22nd most
Huh.
fantasy points of wide receivers and running backs and tight ends. No, I don't think any of these are actually tight ends, but so yeah, you know, I thought it could have been I thought it would have been better, but no, he
Hmm.
didn't even beat himself from 2018, So pretty wild that some of these years these guys have had. Honestly, I don't even want to think about it. He was the running back too. Like Jamar Gibbs had a better season than him. It doesn't feel like that was true, but it
Yeah.
is. It is true.
Hmm.
It happened. I think he only had 13 touchdowns on the ground, and that kind of holds you back when you're having that kind of a season. Yeah, but he only had 5 games under 100 rushing yards. He was completely unstoppable. we all know he had 10 top 10 fantasy weeks as a running back. Just kind of they've got like your league winning players. He was like a league destroying player, you know what I mean? Just get kind of like a
Yeah.
juggernaut. So very impressive, but the passing game just wasn't the same. I talked about the ratio of red zone passes to red zone rush attempts for the Commanders. It was 49 to 123. Well, the same story here. It was 55 red zone pass attempts to 130 red zone rush attempts for the
Mm.
Eagles. So they didn't care about the passing game when it come to the red zone, and it really shows in their stats. The number one red zone target for them only had 11 red zone targets. And now it was Devonta Smith, followed by Saquon had nine, and then so did AJ Brown and Dallas Goedert. So if you look at the other teams in the league, the only other teams that are going this low on like red zone target leaders, it's like Tennessee, the Saints, the Chargers, and somehow Buffalo is on this list.
Hmm.
So that's all good. But they weren't prioritizing these players in the red zone, and it kind of shows in the season ending results. Wide receiver 20 for AJ Brown, only 7 touchdowns, under 100 targets. Really, he had a really nice efficiency. 16 yards per catch is pretty good for him, especially when the running game's going like this. It's kind of the same story with Washington. It's like, the receiving game can really shine. It gets an extra bump because all of the eyes are on the quarterback to see what he's going to do. But I'm at the point where I never really trusted Devonta Smith, who ended up as the wide receiver 27. But now I'm just not really trusting any of these pass catchers for the Eagles. I've been there, done that, rode the ride with Dallas Goedert. I've been hurt, you know what I mean? So he had a down year, finished as the tight end 28, but all three of these guys, AJ Brown, Devonta Smith, and Dallas Goedert, all missed time. None of them played a full season,
Mhm.
and so it's just all more reason to hesitate. Dallas Goedert has never really had a full season. Devonta Smith has missed time just last year for the first time, and then AJ Brown, we all know, has missed some time over the years. So it really just gives me a little bit of like attention towards a third wide receiver in this offense because someone's going to miss time, and John Dodson is the guy that we've always enjoyed a little bit,
Mhm.
but he was just extremely underutilized. 1 target, 2 target games all year, and then in week 18, he had the opportunity, to play with Kenny Pickett, and yeah, it went pretty good. He had 11 targets and 7 catches and 94 yards. So I'm hoping that little jolt at the end of the season gives him a little opportunity. But really, it is what it is. You got Saquon, you got Hurts. If you trust AJ Brown, then like that's cool. I'm not down for that kind of ride. It was his worst season in the past 3 years. He has been top 10 in and out the years prior to that. So if he can get back up to his 140 target range, that would be great. But with Saquon on this team, I don't think they need to do that, and I don't think they're gonna do it.
Mhm.
It's for this team, it's not necessarily a matter of like talent in the wide receiver room. It's not a limiting factor. It's the necessity to utilize that talent that just doesn't seem to be there. So
Yeah.
I don't know. For that reason, I'm a little shaky on it, but I can tell you for sure they got a defensive stud. They got like a million of them. I'm going with Zach Bond. I know
Yeah.
you love that. You made your bread and butter off of that waiver wire pickup last year. I don't know if you did very good on the playoff run, but that was a
Yo.
hell of a pickup, man. But I'm looking for a sleeper on this team, and I can't find one,
Yeah, it's
man.
tough. It's
I just
tough.
like they're all studs. So I guess Quinion Mitchell, that's like as close as it gets for me. But most all these guys are rostered heavily. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're studs. This defense is stacked. I don't know what to say about it.
Yeah, I kind of found that with a couple of these teams where it was like tough to really um find a sleeper at all. Sorry, I was trying to look for my points for the D League there just because I did okay, all right. I just didn't
I
make the
twisted
playoffs
the
somehow.
knife. All right.
Um, but yeah, it's tough. Like I didn't really have a sleeper for you either. I just threw out Zach Bond and I mean Cooper DeJean
Yeah.
played really well last year, which was fun to watch. But I wouldn't even call him a sleeper, you know, like people are
No,
very,
he's
very
heavily
aware.
rostered, yeah.
So like it's hard to find one of those guys. Honestly, you could say that just about the Eagles in general. Like you said, they didn't change much. And you kind of just should expect what you expect or what you got last year. Now, I will say like Barkley had just an insane amount of touches last year, which people are speculating that like or not speculating, pointing out that like a lot of times when running backs get that, they don't come to the same form as next year. But Saquon Barkley is also just a different beast. So I look for him to get a ton of touches unless he gets hurt or something. Jalen Hurts should be a top 10 quarterback. AJ Brown should have some boom weeks for you, but then have some frustrating weeks when the Eagles are just thumping people and they pull him out of the game, basically. And then, like you're saying, Devonta Smith, not very reliable in terms of week to week production, but still will get you some weeks where he's going to be awesome. And that's how he ends up as a top 20 something wide receiver. So you get what you get with the Eagles. It's hard to really talk about them. They're an incredible
Yeah.
team, and they're going to be really good again. So I don't know.
We just have to deal with it, you know?
Yeah, pretty much. It sucks. A team that is interesting to talk about, but maybe equally as I don't know what I don't know where it's going with that. I'm talking about the Giants. Here we go. The Giants are interesting. They are in a flux year for sure. Looks like their GM and coach are trying to save their job after letting Barkley walk to sign Devin Singletary.
Smart.
Um, which oof, that did not work out, in case you were wondering. But you look at the QB situation. They bring in Russell Wilson. They bring in James Winston. James Winston's the QB three, two on this offense. I feel like they do keep three QBs just in case they aren't ready for Jackson Dart. You keep Winston just to see, and then Russ is going to be your starter. And looking at Russell Wilson. You said during our last rookie draft that one of the reasons you didn't take Dart was due to Russ, which kind of surprised me. So I was excited to dig into the like pop the hood stats on Russ. And you know what? When you do that, they aren't that bad. 64% completion percentage, not terrible. Just below his career average. Uh, 2,482 yards in 11 games. That's a pace of 3,842 over 17 games, which is again just below his 17 game average. It's like 3,900. 16 touchdowns, five interceptions. That's a pace of 26 and nine interceptions basically, which over 17, which is again just below his 17 game average pace for his career. There's just a stink on Russ because of his Denver stretch and
His
then
personality.
his personality, and then Pittsburgh not winning much down the stretch. But Russ was actually all right, and particularly on what he's always been good at, which was the deep passes down the field. He achieved a 97 PFF grade on deep throws, completing 27 of 50. That's 54% of over 20 yards for 851 yards, seven touchdowns, and two interceptions.
Cool.
It's pretty fucking good still for a guy that seems like he's aging out. I am concerned about the Giants' offensive line, which is starting the as PFF's 28th ranked offensive line. However, the Steelers finished last year with the 27th ranked offensive line, and it didn't seem to bother us too bad in terms of decent, if not outstanding production. So maybe it just doesn't affect him like that. Who knows? What I'm saying is Russ is absolutely an upgrade over anything the Giants had last year and should help get this offensive moving. Um, I was talking about Jackson Dart eventually being a starter this season, and maybe he'll ride the bench for longer than I expected. Unless the Giants are just truly terrible, which to me seems hard to believe that they would be truly terrible because the defense they're going to be fielding on a weekly basis. I don't think they'll necessarily be good, but they'll be competitive week to week and squeak out some of these games, I think. I usually go with the running backs next, but I'm gonna go to the wide receiver room because after QB, I think it's the bigger topic on this team. Um, the upgrade at QB with Russell Wilson is going to affect the passing game of the Giants pretty heavily, I think. There were only two guys that were factors for the Giants in 2024 in terms of passing the ball, and that was Malik Nabers and Wan'Dale Robinson. Nabers had 170 targets, while Robinson sneakily had 140, which is pretty insane. Neighbors had an absolutely hell of a rookie year, 109 catches, 1,200 yards, and seven touchdowns. But it did feel like there was like something missing still, even though he put up great numbers. And I really think it was the deep shots. Neighbors is an explosive player, and that just wasn't shown last year as much. In Neighbors last season with LSU, he had a yards per reception of 18 and an average depth of target of 12 and a half. And you compare that to his rookie season with the Giants, where it was dropped down to 11 yards per reception and 9.7 on the average depth of target. Um, so I just think with Russ, I already talked about the deep passes. I think he's going to try to open that up because due to the offense last year and particularly the QB, Malik Neighbors was used as like a short yardage wide receiver, which he's so good he can be great anywhere. But 44% of his targets were between 0 and 9 yards, and another 13% were behind the line of scrimmage. So that's a total of 57% of his targets coming within 10 yards, which is not the best when you have a guy that ran a 4.4 and has electric playmaking ability. So to me, Wilson should be able to stabilize these numbers and open up big things down the field for Neighbors in year two. It may be a little unpredictable, because I mean those deep guys are, but they're going to use him all over the field. So it's not like he's not going to get a ton of targets and not going to get the work. I just think you're going to see more big plays out of Neighbors, which could really help his numbers down the field or down towards the end of the year. I think Robinson will get regulated to that short yardage specialist role, which is fine. That's where he needs to be. That's where he thrives. I mean, it's not new for him. Last year, 81% of his targets were within 10 yards, either behind the line of scrimmage or nine or shorter. He's a PPR weapon, but a flyer kind of everywhere else. I'm not overly concerned that he's going to take anything from Neighbors, obviously. And I'm not overly interested in the wide receiver three for the Giants because since 2019, Russ's third wide receiver averaged 38 targets a season.
Ouch.
I don't see anyone on this squad breaking that trend. I mean, you got your Darius Slayton, you got your Jalen Hyatt. Like, I'm not,
Woo, let's
I,
go with Hyatt.
even if they get 38 targets, like, okay, great. You had a okay production wise year. So yeah, I expect bigger plays from Malik Neighbors, more of that like game chasing or game changing Chase style, where it's like, oh, he catches a ball deep and then just takes it to the house, that kind of stuff. We'll see. I expect a big year out of Neighbors. Um, for the RB room, getting to that now, I maybe have written the death certificate for Tyrone Tracy too soon. Maybe I did that. He did have 1,100 yards from scrimmage last year, with six touchdowns. But I really do believe in Cam Scatterbo as a true threat in year one to eat touches away from Tracy. Um, Maybe not right away, but by the end of the year. After the week 11 bye for the Giants, Tracy was averaging around 65% of the snap share for New York running backs. That's nothing to sneeze at, but Scatterbo was 5 picks away from being a top 100 pick in the NFL draft. The Giants clearly felt like they needed somebody in that running back room to kind of complement Tracy. And Scatterbo is a more natural runner than Tracy. Obviously, Tracy being a wide receiver convert, and Scatterbo just being a straight up baller when it comes to rushing efficiency. And so I think he's going to eat up that short yardage and that goal line work for sure, even early on. And you look at Tracy, who you're like, okay, well, he at least has the advantage in the receiving game. and you expect him to get a ton of targets. However, if you dig into the Russ-led offense numbers since 2019, he's only averaged 43 targets to his top running back. And that's with stints with Sean Payton and Arthur Smith, two
Oof.
guys that love to target the running back. Tyrone Tracy had 53 targets last season. I don't know that it goes up much, if at all. So if you take some of the rushing away from him and he still gets like around 50-ish targets, that could be in line for a good season, but not like a crazy good season, you know? And I just think it's going to be more of a committee with him and Scattaboo, Tracy and Scattaboo, that is. Whereas and Singletary, honestly, like getting into the contract side of it, they're probably going to have him as the RB3 just so he can't hit any of his incentives, which is kind of fucked up, but like, why not?
I mean, if he ain't doing it, he ain't doing it.
Yeah, exactly. So I think Scatterboo will threaten, but I kind of see them at least this year as being like flex-ish starters to maybe like bench guys that you can rely on occasionally. The tight end room is a weird one. Daniel Bellinger looked good in his limited work last season, and so did Theo Johnson, but they both got hurt, and it's not like they look that good. They just looked like cool, like pieces that you could maybe build around. Theo Johnson is obviously the more athletically gifted of the two. But again, I'm kind of concerned about the opportunities that they're going to get. If you look, I keep using this year, but if you look since 2019, the top tight end for Russ-led offenses averages 55 targets with only one fantasy or one top 10 fantasy finish. And that was last season with Pat Fryermuth, who absolutely destroyed that average target pace with 78. So he skewed it to even higher than it would actually be. And he's the only one that got a top 10 season out of Russ, and he was ninth. So it's not like he went off with Russ either. It's kind of easy to be a top 10 tight end, honestly. Hard to figure out who's going to do it, but the points are never that crazy, is what I mean. So I'm not saying that one of these guys could not have a breakout season by any means, but I just think betting on it seems unwise. Either one of them. I feel like they're going to attempt to like figure out which of these two works for the offense better while they run the offense through Neighbors and Wandale and the running back room. So I'm just not uh, obviously wait and see how they play this tight end room out, but I wouldn't be throwing them in week one or anything. Not that anybody probably is. In terms of IDP, this is another team with just a ton of defensive talent, which is why I think they'll be competitive in every game. I mean, you got Dexter Lawrence up front, you got Brian Burns, you got Kayvon Thibodeau, Bobby Okereke, and then they bring in Abdul Carter, who is my stud. I think just with all the other talent around him, you can kind of just rely on him to be a pass rush specialist in year one, and I think he's going to crush in that role just because who do you block? Do you block Burns? Do you block Lawrence? Do you block Thibodeau if they have them all three out on the field? It's just tough. So my sleeper, and this is like a weird sleeper because I couldn't find another one. He is rostered in 65% of leagues, so he's not that sleepy. But Tyler Nubin had a pretty good rookie year. All things considered, he had 57 solo tackles and 98 combined in just 13 games. And to me, with like a great front seven in front of him, he can kind of be a little looser. At least the coordinator can be a little looser with where they put him. He can kind of spy and do all kinds of things. So I think with that great front and a year two leap, I think Newman could really be a player for you as far as the defensive backfield of your IDP roster.
Certainly hope so. I've got him. I've got him
Okay.
is what I'm saying.
That's fair.
I got both your stud and your sleeper, dude.
Hey, look at you.
Give it to me. IDP is what I do now, all of a sudden, apparently. I love that. Dude, what the heck's going on with Wandell Robinson?
Yeah,
This is insane to me. He had 140 targets last year. That's,
bananas.
I mean, that's nuts. Absolutely insane. It's let's see here. Tied for 12th in the whole NFL with DJ Moore.
Yep.
So, yeah, and then you've got Neighbors 170 in not even a full year who's 5 targets shy of Jamar Chase. So obviously they're not afraid to just put it in the air and see what happens here. I do think that Hyatt does stand a chance. I think I know you're saying under 40 targets for the wide receiver three on a Russell Wilson team. But this got to be the year where where Dable could lose his job. So I think we've got to just look out for him to just let it all fly out, man. It's gonna be cool. I hope Scatterbeard takes it and runs, but I'm not cheering against Tracy. He had a good rookie year out of nowhere, big time sleeper, and but I do think Scatterbeard was underdrafted. It was a good
Yeah.
value pick, and
Hmm.
I it's gonna be tough. You can't keep a guy like that down. He doesn't seem like the kind of player that's not gonna find a way on the field. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
But then Russ, I mean, the rest of it all, I think. Well, the thing with Russell Wilson is he's probably going to come out and have a good first couple, like 4 weeks, and then start to Russify the situation. But I think I don't care if the Giants win this division, it's all
Yeah.
good. Just not really. I mean, I'd rather the Commanders, but yeah, if they can beat up on the Cowboys and the Eagles and make Neighbors, offensive, player of the year or whatever, then I'm here for it.
Yeah, for sure.
Why not?
Well, that being said, that is our NFC East division done. You want to hit our division leaders real fast?
Yeah, absolutely. This one will go from the bottom to the top, okay?
Okay.
Because so we'll start with the tight end,
Okay.
which I think we have to go with Jake
I
Ferguson.
agree. Yeah, it's Jake
Okay.
Ferguson probably.
I'm with you on that. Now, it gets very difficult in the wide receiver room. Seriously, it's obviously Terry McLaurin, so no, no, no. I th I think shit, dude. Do we have to say Neighbors over Lamb? No, you have to say Lamb,
I
right?
say CeeDee Lamb with a fully healthy season of Dak Prescott
Yeah.
and potential. Like, I just think the offensive output potential is better in Dallas. I
Okay.
do think Neighbors is going to have a great year. Like, I could see him being a top 10 wide receiver again. But I just think CeeDee Lamb with a healthy Dak is
Yeah.
always in the conversation for like a top five.
Yeah, CD Lamb's amazing. I'm just trying to have
Spark some
fun.
conversation.
I'm just doing my thing over here.
That's fair.
All right, so Lamb for sure. Saquon, I
Yeah, there's
mean,
not a competition there.
and then so now it's up to Hurts and Daniels.
Yeah.
Damn, that's a toughie for sure.
I just
Um,
think, like I said, I think there's a regression opportunity for the Commanders in general. I haven't like necessarily loved their off season. And then you look at Hurts and it's since 2021, QB9, QB3, QB2, QB8. It's hard to like pick against that. Like I do love Daniels and I wouldn't be surprised if it's Jaden Daniels.
you love
And
all the Daniels.
yeah, that's true. And we have yet to have a week where we have picked one player from each team in
Okay,
this.
that's
So it would
fine.
be fun to do Jaden Daniels. So I'm okay with it if we want to lean that way. But I do think probably the money is better bet on Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, we got to go Hurts. We don't have any Giants players anyway, so
Oh, that's true. Fuck.
yeah,
Well,
it
never
hurts to
mind.
say it. I mean, in my heart, it's Daniels, McLaurin, Saquon, and then Neighbors is now playing tight end, and then we'll call it good.
I was
So
thinking, should we open it up to two wide receivers?
yeah, right now.
Just
No,
right
no,
now.
nah,
Nah, okay, fair
nah.
enough.
You got to
Well, all
make
right.
tough calls.
All right. Well, there you have it. There's our NFC East preview. We are close. We're under 50 days at time of release till the start of the NFL season. So that is going to be super exciting. But until then, we've been Rough Draft Research. You've been the audience, and we'll see you next time.
Take care, everybody.
I took a lease out on your heart.